Obviously, the dog's in the habit of killing it from time to time. The jaw is indicated by the space between the marks is not large. That, and this tiny puff of silver-gray dog fur, lead me to surmise a miniature terrier.
Absolutely amazing, Holmes. There is something positively inhuman about you at times.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
You said you needed Arkham.
I do.
Does your request in some way concern the recent demise of Sir Charles Baskerville?
It does.
London papers said it was a heart attack, I believe.
An elderly gentleman, if I recall correctly.
Over 80.
You suspect foul play?
What makes you say that?
You would hardly have called upon my services if the situation were not grave.
I've always considered myself a rational woman. Watson can vouch for that.
Absolutely.
I've never taken the occult seriously.
The occult?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop.
This will explain.
The video camera was not recording, so...
Hound of the Baskervilles, there have been many statements. Yet as I come in a direct line from Hugo Baskerville, as I heard the story from my own father, who also heard it from his, I have set it down with all belief that it occurred as is even here set forth.
He's still not back, Lady Agatha. No sign of him from the upstairs window either.
You shouldn't have allowed him to go, Perkins.
It's not my place to stop Sir Henry if he wants to go out.
You know how treacherous the moor can be.
Indeed I do, ma'am. Only yesterday another pony went under the mud at Grimford Mire.
There is sure death with one false step.
Anyhow, Barrymore's gone to fetch him back.
Good. I'm expecting a Dr. Watson and a Mr. Holmes shortly. Show them in the minute they arrive.
I will, ma'am. Will you be wanting tea?
Yes, for 4. Sir Henry will be joining us.
Oh, there you are, Lady Agatha. Not late, have I?
You'll never know how thankful I am for your presence here today, Watson. Where's Mr. Holmes?
He'll be along shortly.
I've arranged for tea.
You'll have to pardon me, my dear, but you do seem distraught. Not like you at all. If there's one thing I remember about you from our days together at the hospital, it was nerves of steel and a disposition to match.
Thank you, Watson. I appreciate that. To tell the truth, I have been on edge. Desperate, some might say.
Desperate?
When I heard you and Holmes were on holiday nearby, I wasted no time getting in touch.
Well, not exactly a holiday. Holmes has always been fascinated by the grim aspects of this locale, especially by the traces of prehistoric man that lived here.
You mean the stone huts along the moor? They do give one the feeling of another time.
Downright creepy, if you ask me.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a skin-clad hairy man crawl from one of those huts.
Well, I'm not given much to flights of fancy. Imagination is more in Holmes's line.
I'm looking forward to meeting him.
And so you shall, Lady Agatha.
A very great pleasure for me, Mr. Holmes.
I trust you enjoyed your walk around Grimpen Mire, the south section, I believe.
How do you know I've even been there?
You left your walking stick outside. The tip is coated with reddish clay found only in that area.
You live up to your reputation.
Judging from the consistency of the clay, I'd say you were there within the last 3 hours.
Indeed.
I should be careful if you take your terrier, though. They do have a tendency to move about impulsively. Miniature, I should imagine.
How do you know I even have a dog?
Teeth marks on the walking stick. Obviously, the dog is in the habit of killing it from time to time. The jaws, indicated by the space between the marks, is not large. That, and this tiny puff of silver-grey dog fur, lead me to surmise a miniature terrier.
Absolutely amazing, Holmes. There is something positively inhuman about you at times.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
You said you needed our help.
I do.
Does your request in some way concern the recent demise of Sir Charles Baskerville?
It does.
London papers said it was a heart attack, I believe.
An elderly gentleman, if I recall correctly.
Over 80.
You suspect foul play?
What makes you say that?
You would hardly have called upon my services if the situation were not grave.
I've always considered myself a rational woman. Watson can vouch for that.
Absolutely.
I've never taken the occult seriously.
The occult?
Perhaps this will explain.
Early 18th century, unless it's a forgery.
It is no forgery.
What is it?
It purports to describe the origin of the curse of the Baskervilles.
Curse?
Come, Watson, common knowledge.
Maybe common knowledge to you, but not to me.
The exact date was 1742. Sir Hugo Baskerville was a coarse man, given to excesses of intemperance and rage. He came to love, if that word can be used with his sort, a village girl. He kidnapped her, kept her prisoner in his house, while night after night he and his foul companions revelled below, probably in this very room.
He has much to answer for.
One night, with the aid of stout ivory outside her window, she made her escape.
Good for her.
And there's more to it than that, Watson. Sir Hugo gave chase, his friends kept behind. He outdistanced them. His friends found him later, on the moor by the two great stones.
You can see them from the windows.
I have seen them. Frightening things in the moonlight.
When they came upon the spot, the village girl had fallen dead of fear and fatigue.
And Sir Hugo?
He was by her side, also dead. But that wasn't what terrified the friends that found him.
What was?
Read it for yourself.
And there at his throat stood a large beast, in the shape of a hound, and yet larger than any hound any mortal eye has ever rested upon. And even as they watched, the creature tore the throat of Sir Hugo Baskerville.
Many of the family have died sudden, bloody, and mysterious deaths.
Oh, surely you don't believe this mumbo-jumbo.
It's obvious the Baskerville who wrote the account did. I counsel you by way of caution to forbear from crossing the moor in those dark hours when the powers of evil are exalted.
Powers of evil indeed. It's a fairy tale.
Sir Charles believed in this curse.
As I recall, Sir Charles was only in residence for a few years.
Yes, his business interests, mainly those in South Africa, kept him away.
Who looked after Baskerville Hall?
The Barrymores, a married couple. He acts as butler, she is housekeeper.
Still in service, yeah?
Yes, it was Barrymore who found the body. It was Sir Charles's habit each night to take a walk before retiring.
But never onto the moor.
Never.
Because of that silly legend?
Watson, please. Do continue, Lady Agatha.
On the night of his death, Sir Charles went out as usual. He never returned.
No sign of violence on the body?
None.
Who performed the police autopsy?
I did.
And the coroner's jury accepted it as medical evidence?
There was no reason not to.
Lady Agatha, it is not what you're saying that interests me. Rather, what you're not saying. Why not come directly to the point?
I believe Sir Charles was frightened to death.
Proof?
Within the last few months, it became increasingly plain to me that Sir Charles's nervous system was strained to the breaking point.
I asked for proof. Facts.
The expression on his face was one of sheer terror.
Easily explain my muscle spasm.
There was one false statement made by Barrymore at the inquest.
Oh?
He said there were no tracks on the ground around the body.
You said a false statement.
Perhaps Barrymore didn't see what I saw.
Which was?
My motive for withholding it from the coroner's inquiry is that a person of science should not seem to endorse a popular superstition.
In other words, you did see footprints.
Yes, a distance off, but fresh and clear.
A man's or a woman's?
They were the footprints of a gigantic hound.
Beg pardon, Lady Agatha. It's Sir Henry. I saw him from upstairs. He's cutting across the moor now.
Thank heaven.
I take it you're the housekeeper.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Barrymore.
How long have you been in service at Baskerville Hall?
It's quite all right, Mrs. Barrymore. This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I've been in service here most of my life.
Then you know the law.
I grew up on the moor, Mr. Holmes.
The Barrymores know more of Baskerville Hall than anyone in the county.
If you have no other questions, sir, I'll see to my duties.
I have no further questions at this time. Remarkable woman. Reminds me of Amy Small, the Notre Dame's murders of Charing Cross.
I see you finally cutting me on net, Lady Agatha.
Henry, you mustn't cut across the moor until you know more of the place.
No nonsense. I stuck to the paths. I was visiting with Kathy.
I sent Barrymore to go and look for you.
Welcome to Baskerville Hall, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, but I'm not Mr. Holmes. I'm John Watson, MD, friend of Lady Agatha's.
Forgive me. Mr. Holmes,
I take it from your accent that you spent some time in the Medica, Sir Henry.
the States of Canada. I only recently returned. If it hadn't been for my uncle's death, I'd still be there.
Oh, surely you don't believe in all the balderdash Lady Agatha's been spouting. I beg your pardon, my dear.
Watson never has been known for an abundance of tact. Do you share Lady Agatha's doubts about your uncle's death?
I haven't made up my mind.
Show him the letter.
Letter?
This arrived one morning in my London hotel.
Words clipped from the London Times and glued to the paper.
Rather no fashion, Gambit, eh, Holmes?
Arsenic is old-fashioned too, Watson, but it does the trick.
How do you know it's the Times?
Times print is entirely distinctive. These words could have been cut from nothing else. As you value your life or your reason, keep away from the moor.
Nothing supernatural about that.
It may have been sent by somebody who was convinced that Charles's death was unearthly.
Who?
Someone tried to frighten Sir Henry from Baskerville Hall. No envelope, no stamp.
I found it tucked under the door of my room.
Do you intend to remain in residence here, Sir Henry?
No one can prevent me from staying in my own home.
You were wise to seek me out, Lady Agatha. May I keep this?
Of course.
Was there anything else found near the body?
The stub of Sir Charles's cigar. 2 stubs, actually, and a great deal of cigar ash.
Curious. There is no other claimant on the estate, I presume?
There were 3 brothers. Sir Charles was the elder. The second died young.
That was my father.
And the third?
A Roger Baskerville, black sheep, fled to Central America and died there of tropical fever.
Supposing anything should happen to our young friend here, you'll forgive the unpleasant hypothesis, who would then inherit?
The estate would then descend to a James Desmond.
A distant cousin.
Is there any other kind?
Watson, please. Who profited by Sir Charles's will?
There were a small number of insignificant sums to individuals and a large number of charities.
He was a generous man.
Yes, yes.
The Barrymores each received £5,000.
He was generous.
Did they know they would receive this amount?
Sir Charles was fond of talking about the provisions of his will.
Unwise.
I hope you won't suspect everyone who profited. After all, Sir Charles left me 10,000.
Sorry.
You will take the case, Mr. Holmes. You will take the case.
Out of the question.
But you must.
We've been counting on you, Mr. Holmes.
I'm due in Bristol sometime tomorrow, and then I must spend a few days in London.
Holmes, surely you can let other matters wait.
You know my methods. I will do my best to settle my prior obligations as quickly as possible. In the meantime, I shall leave Watson here to look after you, Sir Henry.
Whatever you think best.
You must follow his advice. I trust him implicitly. You relay anything of interest to me in London?
You can depend on it.
On one point, though, I must demand complete fidelity.
What is it?
Under no circumstances are you to venture onto the moor at night. I cannot impress the importance of that enough.
Then you do believe the legend?
You understand, Watson?
Oh, I do?
There is something in the air that disturbs me.
What's in there, Mr. Holmes?
Sense of murder, Sir Henry. Murder.
You wanted to see me, Dr. Watson.
Yes, Barrymore, thank you. I'm not quite sure how to put this.
Sir?
I mean, I'm not quite sure of what I heard. Last night, around midnight, did you hear the sound of a woman crying?
I did not. Perhaps it was the wind. The wind racing on the moor can make all types of strange noises.
No, the sound I heard most distinctly came from within this house. I thought perhaps it was Mrs. Barrymore.
If my wife were crying, I would have known.
Could it have been Perkins?
Highly unlikely. Perkins seldom spends the night. She lives with her family on the Grimpen Mile Road.
Perhaps you're right then. The wind racing on the moor.
I'll be going into the village later this afternoon, Dr. Watson. Is there anything I might get for you?
No, thank you, Barrymore. I'll be going in myself.
Very good, sir.
Wait, one moment, Barrymore.
Sir?
You've been in service here for some time.
My father was the caretaker. My family has looked after the hall for 4 generations.
Then you know the families that inhabit the moor?
I do.
Now, I can see the cottages of Lady Agatha and Baskerville Hall clearly marked. But who lives here in the house to the northeast of the Great Rocks?
That would be the house of Mr. Franklin.
An elderly man, choleric with a beard.
You've met him then, Dr. Watson.
I bumped into him at the post office. Disagreeable sort.
His passion is for the British law.
Suits people, they tell me.
Mr. Franklin's ready to take up either side of the question, as long as he can have his day in court.
I know the type. And who lives here in this house?
Mr. Stapleton and his sister.
Ah, Sir Henry's friend. What's she like?
Quite lively.
And her brother?
I've only met him on one occasion, on the moor, chasing butterflies.
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 So what we have here are the homes of the Stapletons, Mr. Franklin, Lady Agatha, and Baskerville Hall.
There are other cottages on the moor, but they're in bad repair, quite unlivable.
You don't mind me saying so, Barrymore. Things are a bit backwards here in this region.
Sir Charles is doing his best to remedy the situation. That's why his death was such a loss.
Mr. Franklin lives alone.
He does now.
No family.
He has a daughter.
Well, where is she?
That would be Sir Henry.
What about Mr. Franklin's daughter?
Miss Stapleton is with him.
Never mind about Miss Stapleton. What about Mr. Franklin's daughter?
Her name was Laura.
Why are you making such a mystery out of this?
Never mind the flowers, I want some lunch.
Well, you look as if you've been enjoying yourself.
Kathy took me on the tour of the old huts. The mall's riddled with old mine shafts, too. Yes, Barrymore?
I wonder if I might have a word with you, Sir Henry.
Certainly.
I'll just go and introduce myself to Sir Henry's friend.
We won't be long.
Yes.
Well,
My wife and I will be happy to stay with you, Sir Henry, until you have made new arrangements.
what do you mean?
Under the new conditions, this household will require considerable staff.
What new conditions?
I only meant that Sir Charles led a quiet life, and we were able to look after his wants. You would naturally wish to have more company, so the household will require changes.
I'm quite comfortable with you and your wife. Isn't Perkins of some help?
She's a village girl, sir, not accustomed to service.
So what you're really trying to say is that you and your wife wish to leave?
Only when it is convenient for you, sir.
I'm sorry to begin my life here by breaking an old family connection.
My wife and I were both attached to Sir Charles. His death gave us a shock.
What do you intend to do?
We shall establish ourselves in some business. Sir Charles' generosity has given us the means to do so.
I won't try to stop you. We'll talk about this later.
Yes.
Come along, Doctor. We have to put these in water.
Howling for Perkins.
They won't last much longer. Oh, it's a pity.
Yes, it is. The mole needs more color.
Aren't they lovely, Doctor?
They are when you heard them, my dear.
Did you hear that, Henry? The doctor knows how to dispense compliments as well as medicine.
What was all that mystery with Barrymore?
The Barrymores want to leave.
What?
That's what he tells me.
That will present a problem. Villagers don't like to work on the moor.
Can't say I blame them. That sense of isolation doesn't trouble you.
Nothing troubles Kathy.
Now, that's not true. Especially when the mist is thick. It frightens me.
I can't imagine why such a vital young woman wants to tuck herself away in this corner of England.
It wasn't exactly by choice. My brother and I had a school in the North Country. I'm afraid the fates are against us.
How so?
A serious epidemic broke out in the school. 2 of the lads never recovered.
Bad luck indeed.
All of our money was gone and Jack was devastated. He hasn't recovered yet. Still, the moor is perfect for him.
Why is that?
He has an avid interest in botany and zoology. Keeps his mind occupied and expenses are minimal. We have books, we have our studies, and we have interesting neighbors. Sir?
Oh, Perkins, put these in water, will you?
Yes, sir. No, just bring a vase. I'll arrange them myself. Yes, miss. It's been seen again, Doctor.
What?
The Hound.
Go on, Perkins. We'll talk later.
Wait.
No need to trouble yourself, Sir Henry.
No sense in trying to protect me, Doctor. What did you mean, the Hound?
It's only that Dr. Watson asked me to report anything I heard in the village.
What did you hear?
It's not what I heard, Sir Henry. It's what Mr. Blake saw and heard.
Blake.
The greengrocer. The man's a dolt.
Well, what did he see and hear?
He was on his bicycle and he heard a long, low moan sweep over the moor. I've heard it once or twice myself.
What?
It's the bogs. They make odd noises. Mud settling or the water rising. That's not what Mr. Blake said. My own guess would be it's a bittern booming.
What's that?
A very rare bird, practically extinct in England now. But all things are possible on the moor. I wouldn't be at all surprised that what Mr. Blake heard was the last of the bitterns.
That'll be all, Perkins.
Yes, sir.
Seems all the servants are in something of a mood.
Yes. I was questioning Barrymore earlier about Mr. Franklin and his daughter. He was being very evasive.
He's not one for gossip.
It's a rather sad situation. You see, she married an artist named Lyons. He proved to be a blackguard and deserted her. Her father would have nothing to do with her because she married without his consent.
I wonder why Barrymore couldn't have told me as much.
After you've been here a while, you'll realize that these people are very protective of one another.
If you'll excuse me, I think I'd like to have a word or two with Mrs. Barrymore.
Seems I've come into an inheritance with a vengeance.
Oh, I wouldn't pay any attention to village chatter. They're a very superstitious lot.
I've heard of the beast ever since I was in the nursery. Never thought of taking it seriously.
You're not thinking of doing so now.
This business with my uncle confuses me.
I'm sure there's a sane, rational explanation for everything that's happened. Here, for you. I couldn't resist it.
It's a beauty.
I saw the watch in the jeweler's window, the letter B is engraved on the back.
You won't save money giving gifts to me.
This gift is special.
And I'll ask you something extra special for you. I thought I'd find nothing on this desolate mall but rustics and eccentrics.
I'll thank you to keep your attention away from my sister.
What is the matter with you?
I'll deal with you later.
Stop it!
You're behaving badly, aren't you, Stapleton?
How I behave is of my own concern.
What is the matter with you?
Just because you have a title and position, you think you can do as you want. Rich and powerful, you're all alike.
I'm not going to stay and listen to this!
Stay away from her. She's not for you.
Who do you think you are?
I won't warn you again. Stay away from Carthy.
And I'll thank you to stay away from Baskerville Hall.
What was all that about?
Stapleton, the man's a lunatic. Came in here in a rage when he saw me and Kathy together. Drove away in tears. Why should you object to me?
Perhaps he's on the verge of a breakdown. Remember, he hasn't been feeling well.
He's liable to do Kathy some harm.
Be careful.
I'm not afraid of Stapleton.
Here's the vase and water, miss. Where's Miss Kathy, Dr. Watson?
She's gone.
What about the flowers?
They're over there on the sofa.
I wasn't allowed to finish, sir. About Mr. Blake. He didn't totally hear the Hound.
Oh?
He saw it.
When?
Last night, sir.
And how did he describe it?
More like a great dark shape moving so fast that Mr. Blake feared for his own life.
If all he saw was a great dark shape, how could he be so sure it was the Hound?
Because its eyes were a fiery red and was breathing flame. Do you believe him, Dr. Watson?
Yes. Yes, Perkins, I'm sorry to say I do.
Why, sir?
Because I myself saw what he saw on the moor.
The Hound of the Baskervilles.
No, Perkins. A Hound of Hell.
Good evening to you, Sir Hugo.
Dr. Watson, are you back? What's happened to the lights?
Oh, Sir Henry. I'll put them up at once.
So it's you, Barrymore.
Yes.
What are you doing in here?
Actually, sir, where the truth is, I'm afraid I fell asleep.
That's most unlike you.
I suffer from headaches, sir. I felt a bit faint. I thought if I rested for a moment, I'd feel better. When I awoke, the dark had settled in.
That's most unlike you. If you say so. I was looking for the weekly journal.
My wife has it, sir.
I'd like to see it.
At once, sir Henry.
Dr. Watson?
Here's a weekly journal, sir.
What? Oh, it's you, Perkins.
I thought you might like some more mugs. I brought a picture and a mug.
That was thoughtful. Oh, so you're still here?
Oh, the mist rolled in too fast for me. I never cross the moors on nights like this. I sleep in a small room down at the west wing of the house.
Have you done that recently?
Sir?
Have you stayed over in the past few weeks?
Once?
I wonder, Perkins. Did you hear anyone crying?
Crying? I don't think so, but of course at that end of the house we might as well be in a tomb. The walls are that thick.
It's exactly what this place feels like at times.
Or would you like me to light the fire?
I'll take care of it.
Oh, very well, Sir Henry.
Miserable night out.
Did you walk back from the village?
Oh, I did?
Hope you carried a lantern, Dr. Watson.
Certainly not. I have excellent night vision. Comes from eating carrots. You should try them, Perkins.
Can't buy carrots, Dr. Watson. Will you be needing anything else, sir?
Not at the moment.
Villages are everything Kathy Stapleton said they were.
What's news from Holmes?
Positively infuriating.
How so?
He hasn't written.
Surely he's back in London by now.
If we haven't heard from him by tomorrow, I think a brief holiday shall do us both some good.
You mean a trip to London?
I'll have to take you with me.
I appreciate everything you're doing, but I'm not ready for a London outing. Wherever it is, it's terrifying Baskerville Hall. I intend to stay here.
Then I shall remain here also.
Did you see anyone outside the house?
When?
On your way back?
Can't see a thing. The mist is thick as guilt. Can't imagine why Lady Agatha favors the place.
Bit like Kathy and her brother. She lost almost everything in investments a few years back.
I didn't know that.
Warm milk, don't suppose you'd care for a mug?
No, thank you. Why did you ask if I'd seen anyone outside earlier?
I heard something at the French doors. They were open.
Really? They're closed now.
I closed them.
Was there anyone else in the room at the time?
Barrymore was down here in the dock, just before I fell asleep.
He's an old one, that Barrymore.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't know what he was doing in the dock, but I surely don't believe he was sleeping.
He's evasive with my questions. And yet he and Lady Agatha were the only witnesses the night of Sir Charles's death. It seems to me that so long as none of the family are in residence here, Barrymore has a very large house and nothing much to do. It's all right, Barrymore. You can come out of the shadows and into the light where we can see you.
Mrs. Barrymore, do you make a habit of listening in on other people's conversation?
No, Sir Henry, I do not.
Explain your behavior.
You are speaking ill of my husband.
And what if we were?
He's a loyal servant, as I am. He would never do anything to harm you in any way, Sir Henry.
Small comfort in that. What have you there?
I should have spoken out before, but it was long after the inquest that I found it. Never breathed a word about it to anyone, not even to my husband. I wonder, may I sit down?
Certainly.
I know why Sir Charles is on the mole.
Well,
He was to meet a woman.
I don't believe it.
This letter came the morning of your uncle's death.
How long have you known of this letter's existence?
Only a few weeks ago, I was cleaning out Sir Charles' study. It hadn't been touched since his death. I found the ashes of a burned letter in the back of the grate. Most of it had charred to pieces, but one little slip, the end of that page, hung together.
Please, as you are a gentleman, burn this letter and be by the gate on the moor at 10 o'clock.
How can you be so sure that this is the same letter that arrived that morning?
There was a silver trim on the border of the envelope. The same trim is on the bottom of the notepaper Dr. Watson Holmes.
What was the woman's name?
No name.
Only the initials, LL.
I don't understand why you'd want to conceal this information.
Well, sir, we were both of us devoted to Sir Charles, as well might be considering all that he'd done for us. To rake this up couldn't help our poor master, and it's well to go carefully when there's a lady in the case.
So you think that the evidence of this communication might somehow compromise Sir Charles's reputation?
I hope I've done the right thing at last.
Well, you have.
If you have no further questions?
Perhaps later.
What is it?
I was thinking how the evil legacy of Sir Hugo hangs on. It would have been better if he'd never been born.
It's a bit late to worry about that now. What do you make of this, Sir Henry? L.L.
Laura Lyons.
Of course, old Franklin's daughter. There's someone outside.
Outside the house?
Yes. No need for that, Sir Henry. I have my revolver.
No need for weaponry, gentlemen. Your intruder is an ally.
Hound!
We thought you were in London.
Which is precisely what I wanted you to think. Watson, would you mind pointing that revolver in another direction?
Where have you been?
On the moor.
Since when?
Since the day Lady Agatha invited us for tea.
And you've never left?
That is correct.
Well, you could have trusted us to keep your confidence.
Watson, you have been invaluable to me in this case as in many others. In your kindness, you may have brought me out some comfort or another, and an unnecessary risk would have been run.
You underestimate me, Holmes.
Never. I trust you kept notes and jotted everything down.
I have.
Splendid.
I still don't see the need for this deception.
Had I remained with you and Sir Henry, my point of view would have been the same as yours. My presence would have warned the menace to be on its guard. In one disguise or another, I have moved about freely.
What did you learn on the mall?
Considerable.
That doesn't tell us much, Holmes.
What's after me? Human or supernatural? Flesh and blood or the devil?
I'm afraid for the time being, Sir Henry, I shall have to hold that question. Now, did you see someone in this room earlier in the dark?
Yes.
Who?
Barrymore.
You mean Mrs. Barrymore, don't you?
No, it was Barrymore.
Sir Henry, have you been conscious of a presence in the house somewhere from time to time?
I have.
Well, this house has an eerie feel about it. It's a perfectly natural reaction.
I think I can prove you wrong, Watson. Was Barrymore in the room earlier?
I think he was.
Did you surprise him when you entered?
I think I did.
Did he have a lantern?
I'm sure he didn't.
Sir Henry, it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has all of the evidence.
So Barrymore had a lantern. What of it?
Come, Watson, I expected better of you. Think, man.
You mean he was searching for something in the room? In the dark? He didn't want to be discovered?
No, Sir Henry, what he was searching for was not in this room. It was out there, on the moor. Watson, if you get the lights. Sir Henry, I'm about to prove to you that my time on the moor was not wasted.
What are you doing?
I should think that should be obvious.
You're signaling someone.
Who?
That is only part of the puzzle.
Look, there's a light out there.
Someone's answering your signal, Holmes.
No, not my signal.
I've had enough of this. Who or whatever is out there intends to do me harm. I intend to put a stop to it.
No, Sir Henry. That is precisely what they wish you to do. You must remember my warning and never venture onto the moor at night.
What's out there, Mr. Holmes? You know, don't you?
There is more evil surrounding Baskerville Hall than ever I have encountered before.
Listen!
It can't be.
I'm afraid it is. The tenor that killed Sir Charles is prowling the moor once again.
her, my dear, and wait. I'll tell Mr. Holmes you're here.
You might also tell her my time is as valuable as his. I would prefer not to be kept waiting.
I'll tell you.
I saw you drive by the cottage. I thought you might stop in.
I plan to on my way back.
You really shouldn't drive by yourself.
I wouldn't do it at night.
You might skid into the mire.
You do worry about me, don't you?
When you let me.
You must be on good terms with Sir Henry.
What makes you say that?
The way you walk into his home.
The moor is free and easy about such things.
Nothing's easy on the moor, Jack.
Come to pay your respects to Sir Henry?
Why should I? I'm no longer a neighbor of Baskerville Hall.
Then why are you here?
Perhaps I can answer that, Mr. Stapleton. I called Mrs. Lyons and asked for this meeting. There was no need to trouble yourself. I planned to see you in the village.
I'll be spending some time with a friend, so I thought I would save you the trouble.
A friend here on the moor, you mean?
Lady Agatha.
My colleague, Dr. Watson, is at the cottage now.
Perhaps I should have made an appointment.
No, not at all. Your arrival is most opportune. Sorry I haven't taken you up on your invitation to view your insect collection, Stapleton, a situation I hope to remedy.
I'm sure you'll find it quite special.
Mr. Stapleton I met not long ago on the moor. He was in pursuit of a grizzled skipper butterfly.
It's escaped my net.
Oh, pity. Are you here to see Sir Henry too?
My sister and I, yes.
Might try the potting shed. He and Bennymore were there earlier.
I'll ride back with you if you'd like, Laura.
All right.
I won't be long. I have only a few things to say to Sir Henry.
Old friends.
Mr. Stapleton has been exceedingly helpful.
Oh, please sit down.
There's a great deal of excitement in the village.
Oh?
The police have chased a dangerous convict to the moor. Apparently, he escaped from Princeton Prison some time ago.
That would be Selden, the Notting Hill murderer.
You're well informed, Mr. Holmes.
In some circles, there's considerable doubt as to his sanity.
Sane or insane, the farmers hereabout don't like it.
I understand they can get £100 if they can give information.
The chance of £100 is a poor thing to the chance of having your throat cut. Surely we're not to discuss a convict who may or may not be insane.
I understand you had the pleasure of knowing Sir Charles.
Yes.
And I've had the pleasure of knowing your father.
I don't know what you're driving at, Mr. Holmes. There's nothing in common between my father and me. I owe him nothing, and his friends are not mine. If it were not for Sir Charles and some other kind hearts, I might have starved for all that my father cared.
Did you ever communicate with Sir Charles?
Why are you asking these questions?
I assure you, they are necessary.
I wrote to him once or twice to thank him for his kindness.
Kindness. Would you care to explain?
I've already explained as much. He contributed money so that I could set up a small shop in the village.
Have you the dates of those letters?
Dates? No.
Did you ever write to Sir Charles asking to meet you on the moor?
That's an odd question.
I intend to repeat it. Did you ever write to Sir Charles asking to meet you on the moor?
No.
Not on the day of his death?
No.
Sure, your memory deceives you. I could even quote a passage of the communication. It ran, Please, Sir gentleman, burn this letter, and be by the gate on the moor by 10 o'clock.
Then he didn't do as I asked.
You do Sir Charles an injustice. He did burn the letter. Most of it, in any case.
All right, I wrote it. I wished him to assist me further. I thought that if I had an interview, I could gain his help, so I asked him to meet me.
You asked him to meet you at an hour when the moor is dark and deserted.
The hour seems unimportant.
You asked him to meet you outside the house.
What does it matter? I never went.
Why?
A private matter. It concerns only me.
Why do you know you wrote the letters?
Obvious, I should think, gossip.
You admit you made an appointment with Sir Charles at the hour and place he met his death.
I do.
Yet you deny keeping the appointment.
Yes.
Is that all you wish to tell me?
Mr. Holmes, that's all I'm going to tell you. I'll wait for Mr. Stapleton outside.
Remarkable woman. Not to the man born to give you an excellent imitation.
You're a bloodhound in the true sense of the word, Mr. Holmes.
There are 75 perfumes in Britain. A criminal expert must be able to distinguish one from another. Mrs. Lyons favors none of them.
How did you find her?
I didn't. She found me. I must say she isn't quite what I expected.
Well, what did you expect?
Somebody less sure of herself.
I saw you crossing the mall from my window.
It's Jack. He wants to speak to you. He went looking for you.
Might try the potting shed. I think I misdirected him there earlier.
Jack! He's already on his way back.
The boot doesn't fit.
It fits, but there's only one.
Where is its companion?
I haven't the slightest idea.
I should have returned long before this, Sir Henry.
You have something to say to me, Jack?
I do. It's rather personal.
Anything you may say to me, you may say it in front of Mr. Holmes.
My presence is not required.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. And I'm waiting for you to come and view my insect collection. I'm anxious for your reaction.
You may count on it.
My brother wishes to apologize for his temper.
I prefer to speak for myself.
I'm sorry, Jack. I didn't mean to speak for you.
Then don't. You must understand, Sir Henry, that the thought of losing my sister is hard for me. She's all I have for family. I suspected your motives, that you are simply using your title and position to impress her.
Nothing could have been further from my intent.
I know that now.
I must tell you, Stapleton, I have every intention of marrying your sister. She's told you.
She has. I will withdraw all opposition if you promise to wait 3 months to be sure that marriage is what you truly want. Kathy's happiness is my only concern.
Mine too.
Then we are agreed. 3 months?
3 months.
Wonderful.
Will you be riding back to the cottage with Laura and me, Kathy?
No, I'll go later.
I'm not sure if that's wise. That convict might still be lurking.
I'll see that Kathy gets home without incident.
Thank you, Sir Henry. And I wonder, would you be willing to dine with us tomorrow evening?
I'd be delighted.
I'll go find Laura.
I'm not sure I like that vacation of 3 months. But if it'll make things easier on your brother, I won't argue.
I knew he'd come around.
Kathy, have you always been afraid of your brother?
Yes, I think I have.
He's never harmed you in any way.
I was surprised to find Laura was here.
So was Mr. Holmes, I think.
Mrs. Barrymore said you were looking for me, sir.
I couldn't find my other shoe.
Aren't these boots you gave me yesterday for polish?
Barrymore brought them back to my room last night. But when I went to put them on just now, I could find only one.
I can't imagine where the other one is, sir.
My favorite pair.
I'll turn the place upside down.
Just see if you can locate the mate.
I'll try, Sir Henry. I can't imagine what's become of it. Will you be staying for tea, miss?
If Sir Henry has no objections.
You'll be seeing a great deal of Miss Stapleton around Baskerville Hall in the coming weeks, Perkins.
That would be nice, Sir Henry, especially if the Barrymores leave. I wouldn't like being the only woman here. I scare easily.
Are they really leaving?
Not immediately. Can't say I blame them. Kathy, do you understand the danger? The curse of the Baskervilles?
Henry, whatever this thing is, we'll defeat it together. Mr. Holmes will let no harm come to you. You've got to believe that.
I try.
Good. Then I'll go arrange a nice bouquet of flowers for the tea tray.
Don't be long.
Beg your pardon, Miss Stapleton.
No harm done.
I've taken inventory of the potting shed, Sir Henry. You'll be needing some new tools.
You haven't been entirely honest with me, have you, Barrymore?
About the inventory?
No?
I'm afraid, sir, I don't understand.
Your family has lived with mine for generations under this roof. And here I find you with some dark plot against me.
I assure you, Sir Henry, you have no reason to think such a thing.
Haven't I?
Beg pardon, Sir Henry. Perkins says there's something amiss with one of your shoes. What's wrong?
Sir Henry believes I engaged in some dark plot against him.
I'm not fooled with your tricks with the lantern out the window.
No, sir. You said to stand. No plot against you.
Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes! Would you please come in here?
This is the end of it. We have to go. You can pack our things.
I brought us to this. This is my doing, Sir Henry. All mine. My husband has done nothing except for my sake and because I asked him.
What is that supposed to mean?
My unhappy brother is starving on the moor.
We couldn't let him perish.
You mean your brother is...
The escaped convict, sir.
Sir Henry, I expressly ask that you leave this matter to me. I told you had nothing to fear from the light on the moor.
I think, Mr. Holmes, it's time to take a hand in all this.
That would be a most unwise maneuver. Sit down, both of you, Sir Henry. Now tell us what you know.
Selden is my younger brother. We humored him when he was a lad, gave him his own way in everything. When he grew older, he fell in with a bad lot. From crime to crime, he sank lower and lower.
He's quite mad.
Don't say that!
He came here for help.
Dragged himself here one night starving. I couldn't refuse to help him.
Haven't you overstepped yourself, Mr. Holmes? Selden is a wanted criminal. Dangerous.
I assure you, Sir Henry, Selden is dangerous to nobody but himself. He is not the same man as when he murdered. I've seen cases like his before. My guess would be drug damage. Selden will end his days as little more than a vegetable. Passive, frightened, disoriented. No need to worry. If he's in any danger or apprehension, I've instructed him to come straight to Baskerville Hall.
You've talked to him?
He's been on the moor for several weeks now, and he has proved invaluable to me, a fact which I shall relay to the authorities.
What is it, Perkins?
I found this under the door, sir, in the kitchen. I heard someone outside, but when I looked, I couldn't find anyone.
Well, let me have it.
One moment, Sir Henry. Are you in the custom of receiving mail in this manner?
Under the kitchen door? Certainly not.
Let me have the letter, Perkins. Interesting.
What is it?
Let's miss my guess. It's the same stationery as used in your London warning.
What's the message?
If you value your life, leave Baskerville Hall tonight. There will be no further warning.
Words clipped from the newspaper and stuck to the page?
No, not this time. It's handwritten. And it's signed.
Signed?
Signed? Lady Agatha Mortimer. Curious.
Lady Agatha?
I trust so. It's a nuisance being called away at this hour.
Oh, there you are, Holmes.
I only see Barrymore reached you. Good of you to come, Lady Agatha.
He said it was urgent.
It is.
Dash it, Holmes. We hadn't even sat down to dinner.
You make too much of food, my good man. You should follow my example. I'm perfectly happy with a roast beef sandwich and a cryptogram.
Well, unfortunately, I can't eat cryptograms. Besides, it wasn't a roast beef sandwich. It was a steak and kidney pie, my favorite. And Lady Agatha was expecting a guest. I was looking forward to company.
Lord Lyons.
She hadn't arrived by the time Barrymore brought your message.
That's all. She left Baskerville Hall some hours ago.
Not alone. The suspected escaped convict is still on the moor.
No, Stapleton was with her.
He knows the moor as well as anyone.
No one knows the mood as well as you, Lady Agatha.
You've discovered something of importance, haven't you, Holmes? That's why you sent Barrymore.
Holmes, I think your brief holiday out here was carefully planned out. Why, I don't think you were interested in no smelly old huts at all. No, I think you were only interested in Baskerville Hall.
Read this, Watson. If you'd be so kind.
Outrageous!
I take it you disown authorship.
Whoever signed my name hasn't the remotest idea of my handwriting style.
I suspected as much. Are you familiar with the guest's handwriting style?
Watson here has a bold hand.
I wasn't referring to Dr. Watson, I meant Lord Lyons.
I'm quite familiar with her penmanship. Laura did not write this message.
But why would anyone sign Lady Agatha's name and not even make a good attempt at a forgery?
To delay investigation, possibly. I don't think the signature is important, though. I think the writer was intent on pressing the warning.
Well, it settles one thing.
Which is?
There's no supernatural force behind this mess.
Then how do we account for the beast you described to me?
Dripping blue as flame, eyes ringed with fire.
Oh, I've forgotten about him.
I hadn't.
The Moor plays tricks, Watson. You saw something you mistook for the beast.
Well, you suddenly changed your tune. I know what I saw.
I would surmise that your beast can also wield pen and ink.
You're being rude, Holmes.
No need to take offense.
Positively rude.
I take it you have suspicions about Laura Lyons.
Suspicions about many things. Were you aware that she was in communication with Sir Charles?
No.
Were you aware that Barrymore was off the moor the exact time Sir Henry received the first warning?
Barrymore never leaves the moor.
I have it on authority that he was not on the moor when Sir Henry was in London.
Whose authority?
A gentleman on the moor.
You mean Jack Stapleton?
You'll be casting your doubts on me next, Mr. Holmes. You don't think I had a hand in this?
You did leave out one extremely revealing point when you first called upon my services.
I told you everything.
Everything?
I'm not in the habit of lying.
You neglected to mention one very important point. You are the executrix of Sir Charles's estate.
What if I am?
If anything should happen to Sir Henry, who has yet to make out a will, you would be in a most enviable situation.
You go too far, Holmes.
Not telling you was an oversight on my part. Nothing more.
Indeed.
You know of my bad financial situation.
Thanks to Watson here.
He always did have a rather large mouth.
I protest!
Mr. Holmes,
Quiet.
have you...
Where's Sir Henry?
He's not in his room.
Well, where could he have gone?
The hounds! Come, Watson, quick! We may be too late!
What is it? What's wrong?
Get Barrymore.
Barrymore?
Be quick about it. Don't ask questions.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing?
I was going to light the fire. It's not important. We need your husband. Where is he?
Barrymore was Perkins fetching him. Where's Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson?
They've gone on to the moor.
They're not going to do him any harm. Mr. Holmes promised to protect him.
Who are you talking about?
He's like a child now. He wouldn't hurt anyone.
No.
They'll be needing your help, Barrymore. Dr. Watson, Mr. Holmes. They've gone on to the moor. He's out there.
Sir Henry never goes out onto the moor at night.
Don't waste time.
Get the strong light. It's in the whole chest. They mustn't harm him.
Why should they want to do harm to Sir Henry? You don't talk sense, woman.
Not Sir Henry, my brother. He's been out there for weeks.
Brother?
Selden, the Notting Hill murderer.
The escaped convict?
Yes.
You've known he's been out there and you've said nothing?
Mr. Holmes said he would help him.
It's not your brother they went after. It's the Hound.
Oh, this place is cursed. I never wanted to believe that, but it's true.
Stop talking rubbish. I'd better see if there's need for me.
No, don't leave me, please, ma'am.
I'll get a sedative for you.
This will do.
I'm afraid that won't be of any help now.
Sir Henry?
Dead.
Impossible.
Oh, if only that were true. I've never heard screams like that from any man or woman. The beast bit and clawed and chewed.
Dr. Watson, please.
I've never experienced anything like it before in my life.
What could have possessed Sir Henry to go out onto the moor after all the warnings?
I don't know. He tried to flee, but the creature was too swift.
Uncle and nephew, murdered.
You'll have to excuse me, Barrymore. Go on and give them a hand with the body, with you.
Better bring the body in here.
That won't be necessary.
There can be no mistake. He's dead.
There is no mistake.
Poor Sir Henry.
I'm afraid your sympathies are misplaced, my dear. You'll have to prepare yourself for another shock.
How do you mean?
True, the man is dead. But Watson neglected to wait for my complete report. The man has a beard.
Beard.
I regret having to bring you this information.
My brother, isn't it?
Yes.
But why would the Hound attack Selden and not Sir Henry?
The Hound attacked a scent. Selden was wearing one of Sir Henry's hunting jackets.
I can explain. A woman from the church committee asked if we had anything we might donate for a bazaar. Sir Henry gave some of his old clothes, among other things.
They were warm and comfortable. I thought, why should others have them when my brother was cold and in rags on the mall?
There is no need to reproach yourself.
Perhaps it's for the best. I only wish he didn't die so horribly.
Perkins told me said I was wanted.
Where have you been?
We feared for your life.
You promised never to go onto the moor at night.
I was in the potting shed. Why do you all look so strange?
It's my wife's brother, sir, Selden.
Savaged by the beast.
Then the curse doesn't only concern the Baskervilles.
I wish that were true.
What connection does Selden have with me?
He was wearing your hunting jacket, sir.
The one you donated to the church.
The Hound attacked your scent.
How can you get my scent in the first place?
When dealing with the supernatural, ordinary explanations are worthless.
I'm afraid I cannot agree.
What choice have you?
An investigator needs proof, not rumors or legends. This has been a most unsatisfactory case.
Can't you promise any help?
I can promise you something far more startling than hope, Sir Henry. By tomorrow, either the curse of the Baskervilles would be broken, or someone in this room will be dead.
Makes me feel strange seeing you writing all this down.
It's always best to keep one's affairs in order, Sir Henry.
No argument there. Only I've never been concerned about a will before. My own will, that is.
You'll feel better about it.
Will I?
Count on it. I can't imagine why Holmes invited Lady Agatha over this evening. He was only yesterday practically accused her of being implicated.
At least we don't have that ghastly business with Selden.
You're dining with the Stapletons tonight.
Unless Mr. Holmes makes us a new objection. Can't help feel that this will is a prelude to my...
Trust Holmes.
I do intellectually. Emotionally, I'm not as sure.
We are leaving now, Sir Henry.
There's nothing I can do to change your mind.
I'm afraid not. I think it best my wife and I started a new life elsewhere.
I understand. Goodbye, Barrymore, and good luck.
Goodbye, Sir Henry.
Goodbye, Mrs. Barrymore.
Sir Henry.
You will write and let me know how things are going.
Yes, sir. Come now, we don't want to miss our train. Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
Goodbye, Barrymore. Luck to both of you.
They did it well by my uncle's will.
Yes, handsomely. Still, I've never trusted Barrymore. I didn't know there was a train at this hour.
I'm sorry to intrude like this. Mrs. Barrymore said I should come right in. I'm Laura Lyons, Mr. Franklin's daughter.
I've heard of you. I'm Sir Henry. This is Dr. Watson.
Oh yes, Lady Agatha's comrade. She speaks highly of you.
Thank you, my dear. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet with you the other evening. Won't you sit down?
I must see Mr. Holmes. It's important.
I'll get you.
Thank you.
Aren't you afraid to cross the moor?
I understand they've captured
much of the convict.
That's true.
You mean the storm?
I mean the Hound.
It isn't the other world that will hurt one, Sir Henry. It's this one.
I believe I heard Mr. Holmes say you were from the village.
I have a small shop.
I have a distant relative living there.
I've heard of no Baskervilles in the area.
No, the name's Desmond, an elderly clergyman. Can I get you something? I'm afraid I'm understaffed at the moment. The maid leaves before dark, and the Barrymores have deserted.
I saw the suitcases.
The place won't be the same without them.
I want you to know, Sir Henry, I had the utmost respect for your uncle. He was kind, generous, and most thoughtful. His death disturbed me.
Oh, Mrs. Lyons, I expected to see you earlier than this.
You knew I'd return?
I hoped you would.
You probably want some privacy.
I think it best you stay, Sir Henry. What Mrs. Lyons is about to reveal concerns you.
Me?
Your uncle, to be precise.
You anticipate.
I am a flawless judge of character. You did not strike me as the sort of woman who could live comfortably with a serious lie.
What are you driving at?
It is true I wrote a letter to Sir Charles asking him to meet me.
On the instigation of another.
What other?
I am aware of what you communicated in your earlier interview. I'm also aware of what you have withheld in connection with this matter. I regard this case as one of murder, and the evidence may not only implicate Jack Stapleton, but his wife as well.
His wife?
Wife? What are you saying?
The person who has posed for his sister is really his wife.
I don't believe it.
Nor I. He's not a married man.
Kathy unwittingly revealed the ruse when she told Watson here that the school she and her brother ran in the North Country. I made inquiries on one of the employees sent on this photograph. It was taken 4 years ago, but I think you'll still recognize the couple. Mr. and Mrs. Jack Stapleton. The employee has routine identification on the back.
Let me see that. It's true.
Now I know why Kathy lives in fear of her brother.
And that explains why he flew into a rage when he saw you and Kathy together. Now you couldn't control the instincts of a jealous husband.
I swear to you when I wrote the letter, I never dreamed of any harm to the old gentleman. He had been a good friend.
I presume the reason Stapleton gave was that Sir Charles, would help you with the legal expenses connected with your divorce.
Yes, Jack said he couldn't help because he himself was penniless.
After you made the appointment, he dissuaded you from keeping it.
Yes.
And then you heard nothing until you read of the murder.
He said the death was a mysterious one, and I should most certainly be suspected if the facts came up. He frightened me into remaining silent.
I think on the whole you have had a most fortunate escape.
I couldn't remain silent any longer.
You're liable to do Kathy some harm.
Not if everything falls into place. Time is the crucial element. Watson, you will escort Mrs. Lyons back to her cottage.
I can take care of myself.
You heard me.
Come along, my dear. You can trust my protection.
I was right, you know. Nothing's easy on the moor.
You must be really worried for her safety.
I merely want some guarantee she won't warn Stapleton.
You must help Kathy.
You will do exactly as I tell you.
I'm ready.
You will go to Stapleton Cottage tonight and enjoy your dinner.
You're not serious. I'm not sure I can face Jack Stapleton.
That is precisely what you must do. You also divulge the path of your return. Is that perfectly clear?
And where will you be?
Nearby. Leave within the hour.
Mr. Holmes. Holmes? Barrymore? They're all gone. Wait 1 hour. Of the origin of the Hound of the Baskervilles, there have been many statements. Know then that in the time of the Great Rebellion, this manor of Baskervilles was held by Sir Hugo of that name.
Good evening, Henry.
Kathy?
Yes. Kathy. Sweet. Endearing. Innocent.
What's wrong with you? I told Holmes I was afraid for your life. He knows you're married to Stapleton.
Does he? I'll have to deal with that in time.
You and Stapleton plotted this all together.
Jack! Don't be a fool. He's weak. Never did a thing that I wasn't right there behind him, pushing and insisting. Oh no. It was all my idea.
I don't understand.
He's the son of Roger Baskerville, the younger brother of Sir Charles, the one who fled to South America and supposedly died unmarried. Now everything will be Jack's, and that means mine.
He's my cousin.
It's outside the front door. Chained. Waited till the house was empty, till the mall was dark.
What is it?
You'll soon see. He's starved. I keep him that way. I'm going to release him.
No.
Run, Henry! Onto the moor! Outrace him if you can! It's your only hope! Run! Run!
That would be for the Hound.
What's happened to him?
I suspect they've shot the doomed animal. I persuaded the authorities looking for Selden to remain in the area for one more evening.
Jack warned you, didn't he?
You weren't quite as sure of him as you thought.
You haven't won yet, Mr. Holmes. There's always grip in Maya!
Kathy!
Sir Henry, a melodramatic gesture is completely wasted. The house is surrounded.
How did you know she wouldn't be at the cottage?
Simply an assist from Lady Agatha. Earlier in the day, she tracked Kathy to where the Hound was secreted in an abandoned mine. Later, when it was dark, she observed her moving not to the cottage, but to this house.
Then there wasn't really a hound.
Gigantic dog, part mastiff, part Great Dane.
But the glove?
Phosphorus, and your missing shoe supplied the scent.
And Jack Stapleton did try to save my life.
In his own clumsy fashion. Stapleton also told me that he was off the moor during your London stay. That, and I recognize the scroll on your handwritten note as the same one used on the catalogue cards of his butterfly collection.
Holmes! The police have stopped everyone along the moor.
Merely a safety precaution. They should pick Jack Stapleton up at the cottage. And, judging from those whistles, Kathy has been apprehended.
Kathy, what's she got to do with this?
How could Jack possibly claim the inheritance?
Now, in any number of ways. He can set up his identity again with the British authorities in South America. He could adapt an elaborate disguise for the short time he needs to be in London. Or he might hire an accomplice and still retain a claim on some portion of the income.
I was so afraid you suspected me, I thought of burning the warning with my name on it.
No need to worry. As I am the last and highest court of appeals in detection, I exonerate you.
Bit pompous, Holmes.
Kathy, I don't feel for me at all.
If it's any consolation, Sir Henry, the most charming woman I ever knew was hanged for poisoning 3 little children for their insurance money. Come, Watson, we must hurry if we're to catch that late train.
What? Now, this moment?
I received a most interesting communication from Mrs. Hudson. It seems a retired member of the Palace Guard was being blackmailed, and I suspect an organized ring with connections in America.
My things, my clothes.
Lady Agatha, if you'd be so kind as to let Perkins packs all our things and sends them off to Baker Street in London.
First thing in the morning.
Come, Watson, there is a mystery to be solved.
Oh, this man has no mercy.
That's elementary, my dear Watson. Elementary.